Congratulations on that finale. I wept with joy. It was so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It turned out, it was the brutal one, man. First time I saw it, I was like, oh no, this is not going to work.
It's so beautiful.
It just came together gorgeously.
I don't know how you guys were able to construct that layer upon layer. It just had so much in it.
Well, it had a lot leading to it, and when all said and done, it was the easiest. A lot of it was the easiest to write. Thank you so much. The easiest to write of the whole year. And then what made it difficult was editorially trying to lay it out and do it right.
How long did you know ahead of time that you were going to introduce the flashback with Damon having met Elena before Stefan had?
That came up when we were talking. We knew that the last episode of the season was going to be, that we really wanted it to be Elena's life before she was a vampire. Before the vampires came to town, and leading up to the night where her parents died. And we had 1,000 pitches on the table all season long because we knew that's where we were going. And somewhere in that process, I've always said that the big thing you have to make sure you do, if you can't just have a flashback because it's fun, although that would make it so much easier for us. You have to learn something new that you didn't know, and we knew that we were not going to reveal that there was any, supernatural tomfoolery leading to her parents' accident. We knew we wanted to keep very pure and honest about that, and not rewrite history there. And so we talked a lot about what could we learn here that changes things. And so I would say probably by the middle of the season we kind of knew what that would be. But we went there because we always knew that there was something. Damon showed up in the pilot. He knew a lot. So he'd been there. And we always knew we wanted to know what he was up to prior to flying in, I guess, as the Crow. And where his interest in Elena had come from, because he came in like guns blazing, interested in her, even if he was posturing that it was Stefan, it's because she's Stefan's girl. So we knew there was a storyteller, and this was the perfect place to actually tell that story. So it kind of let us fill our rules of flashbacks and also tell this one mystery that we'd never been able to tell, all kind of at the same time. So that's cool the way it worked out.
So talk with Elena regaining her memory. What is it going to mean for David?
Well, it's going to mean a lot of things for both of them. I mean, I don't think it's the idea of whether or not she could ever one day love him as a man, as opposed to just caring about him for who he is right now.
Talking about flashbacks, do we see possible flashbacks with original families, say like Klaus's biological father?
Well, I actually don't know. I do know that we have discussed that is an open thread out there that we could grab onto at any point. We have our mental checklist of open threads that we know we want to tell stories about, like where was Damon before he flew into into Mystic Falls. So yeah, we don't know anything about Klaus's biological father, and we know he's a guy with some serious messed up parent issues. So I would say never about meeting more of his backstory.
And then what does it mean for Klaus now that Elena is a vampire?
Well, it changes everything for him, and it's not that good actually. It's not that good for him at all. He's a guy whose entire agenda was born out of wanting to create hybrids, and really that was just a mask for needing a family. But when his mom kind of threw down the gauntlet late in the season and he said, I'm not going to rest until I've protected myself against the likes of you, he's back on the hybrid trail, and his main power source, his only power source, is just kind of turned off. So
is Joseph Morgan going to be making an appearance, or is that going to all be on Michael TV now?
No, Joseph will be back, and he will be back sooner than later.
Is he going to be crispy? Or?
Yeah, well, he'll probably need to do a couple shots of blood to heal himself back up. But I think that there's a line, fate and oxygen intervened, and here I am.
What about April? Do you see her as being a love interest in one of her favorites?
We're not bringing her in specifically to be a love interest. We're bringing her in a really nice way to sort of give Elena someone to look at and say, she reminds me of me. And Elena, who's so compassionate in her human life, that's going to be a very, very big problem for her in vampire life, and she's going to care very deeply in ways that she can't control. And the idea of this, young high school girl coming into a town, that has secrets and has danger, and this girl that probably falls herself into some danger, Elena's going to want to take care of her. And so if there's a couple single brothers, there's a couple single dudes on our show. There's Jeremy, who's currently available. There's Matt exactly. There's Matt Donovan's kind of single, So I wouldn't say that we'd be opposed to exploring something, but she's not brought in simply to be a romantic figure.
What other new characters are in the mix for the next season?
Well, we've got Connor, that we just cast, Todd Williams, who is basically, he's a vampire hunter in that way that you assume a vampire hunter would be. Not Alaric, who accidentally befriends the guy that he would like to kill the most. He's hardcore, and he's fast, and he's quick, and he's strong, and he's human. but he's a surprisingly complicated adversary, and they kind of are all taken aback by him, because he's more than they bargained for, and so it's not easy to get rid of him.
Without the Lark in the picture, who is Damon going to be turning to kind of be his kind of rock now?
Well, the problem with Damon in the beginning of the season is he actually doesn't have that. He's lost his buddy. He and his brother are in a complicated disagreement. He and Elena are, she chose Stefan. I'm here for you, but you chose, all the choices that you're making, everything that you're doing, your whole plan here is sort of telling me that, you got it covered. Well, all right, you got it covered, so I'm going to stay out of it. So he's actually kind of feeling alone, and how he starts to fill that void will be part of his journey as we go forward in the season. He needs a new drinking buddy, that's for sure.
So, who would be her mentor, Elena's mentor, or the person she's leaning on the most in the transformation?
Well, I think it's what's good about it is she's got a group of available shrinks, vampire shrinks. She's got Stefan, who went through it the darkest way, and Damon, who has a point of view about how to just rip the Band-Aid off. Caroline, who was very successful in her transition. Jeremy, who watched Vicky, be very unsuccessful in her transition. And Matt, who's a good, for lack of a better term, shoulder to cry on. So she's going to be reaching out. And of course, Bonnie, who is her best friend, and who is her emotional rock. So she's got a lot of choices there.
Is Bonnie going to be going towards the dark side this year, or a little darker?
Bonnie tapped into something really dark at the end of last season, and in the beginning of this season, she's going to have to go back there and tap into it again, and her journey for the season will be predicated on the outcome of that attempt and what happens and what it does to her.
Is there more that Damon's possibly hiding from Elena than just
I don't know. I think Damon keeps things to himself. I think that he only shares what he wants to share. I think that he's got a very specific history, things that he probably doesn't tell anybody. If you're asking if we're going to learn a new secret in the beginning, no, nothing new yet. But I think there's a lot about Damon's story that's been untold, and I would really like to do an episode where we make it a Damon-centric episode, and that we're gonna give a shot at doing that at some point this year, where we get to go back, who knows, pick a decade, 40s, 70s, I don't know, to really see Damon in his element, Damon being Damon, and learn more about him without everybody else around watching him. Thank you.